Reconvene. Okay, we will start with our committee reports. And so first up is Ms. Curry.
Good afternoon. Madam Rector, I'd like to take one moment of personal privilege first, if I might. And it's pertinent to something Mr. Fleming and I were just talking about, and pertinent to the work of the Academic and Student Affairs Committee. I attended a conference in Richmond last week, as part of the work that I do with the Lumina Foundation and the consulting that I do. It was sponsored by Lumina, and it was put on by the Partners for College Affordability and Education Reform Now. And it was a wonderful conference. I'm happy to share you the materials. I did share with the president. But what was more interesting, well, not more interesting, but what was very interesting is there were two of the panel members that I chatted with during one of the breaks. One was from Howard University, and one was with NCHEMS, which is a national think tank on education, statistics, and information, and they're the ones who did the cost study for the state for SCHEV. And I said, you know, I'm here, I'd been introduced as being with Lumina, but I said, I'm also on the Virginia State University board. And they said, oh, you work with Dr. Abdullah. And I said, so these are nationally recognized humans. And I said, I do indeed. And they said, he's just wonderful. And I said, he is. And they said, you're so lucky to have him. You know, you won't have him for very long. And I said, I think he's committed to us. I said, we just extended his contract, and I think that he will be with us for a while. He has significant passion for Virginia State University, and he's got kids who've graduated from here, and I think we've got him for a while. And he said, and they said to me, you know, what we need is more leaders like your president, and we need to figure out ways to produce more leaders like your president. And how do we do that? And I said, well, he is on the HBCU, White House HBCU leadership panel, and, you know, Deetra Trent, an old friend of Wayne and Bill's and mine, and I know they're probably working on things such as that. But I just thought I would share with the rest of the board members that our president is just very highly regarded to go to that kind of a conference. Those were speakers, presenters to Virginia legislators and Virginia policymakers who were there, and other institutional people who were there. So thank you for letting me have that point of privilege. Now, on to my report. We do have one action item this time for approval. The full committee is recommending for approval a resolution amending the university's 6-year plan. As background, the state requires institutions to submit a 6-year plan, and I put my air quotes on that, every odd year, and amendments to that plan every even year. Virginia State University submitted an updated 6-year plan to take into account the new general funds added into the 2022-24 biennial budget. Virginia State University requested an additional $13.7 million in support of original initiatives that were not funded or were not fully funded in this last budget of our original 6-year plan. In addition, $3 million in support of mental health at Virginia State University was submitted for funding for 23-24. And that was the extent of our amendments because we did incredibly well in the last session. So we do recommend that for approval. Do you want us to, I'll look to legal.
At the end of your report on
Let's go ahead and do it now, and then I can relax.
Okay, all right. Yes. All right, we have a first from the committee chair, Ms.
Yes.
Curry, and a second from John to accept the recommendation from the Academic and Student Affairs Committee for the amended six-year plan. We need a roll call vote, please. Dr. Redd, are you going to do the roll call, please?
Dr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Branch?
Yes.
Mr. Cosgrove?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Dr. Darden? Yes. Dr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Dr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Sessoms?
Yes.
Mr. Turnage? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Redd. The motion and recommendation has been approved.
Thank you. Continuing on to the information items, Dr. Alexis Brooks Walter provided an update on enrollment numbers for fall 2022. The president walked you through those just an hour ago, so I won't go through them again. We can answer any questions if you have any on those. We are excited by where we stand, but we also recognize that that brings a lot of support that's needed with that, and to that end, she talked about the Academic Center for Excellence and what they're doing to continue to support retention and progression by using what she talked about in intrusive advising and outreach to help students who need additional support. Overall, the enrollment management team strives to use strategic data points to guide the recruitment, retention, and progression of students at Virginia State. The committee did note that this is being done with lower advisor ratios than is normally recommended. If I recall, the ratios are supposed to be around 290 something, and we're doing currently at about 450, so there is recruitment underway, but there will take some time to get those ratios down, get the people in and trained. But the people who are there are working mightily to serve the students. Dr. Palm provided an update on the graduation rate for the cohort from the fall of 2016. Graduation rates are measured for 4-year, 5-year, and 6-year, but the federal rate that we are measured by is a 6-year rate. And so for that cohort, our graduation rate is 36%, and it is one that I think is improving over time. What we look at is our retention rate, and as that has improved, you will see that our graduation rate is also improving. Dr. Corley provided an update on the university's strategy to manage the campus community COVID levels during fall 2022 semester and highlighted ongoing activities. Obviously, COVID in fall 2022 is something that is very different than it was 2 years ago or a year ago. And so we talked about the fact that we've moved into sort of this endemic cycle, and in consultation with the State Department of Health, Virginia State has taken all necessary steps. And COVID is, in fact, one of several illnesses that employees and students will manage on a daily basis. This semester, and Dr. Green was very interested in this, we secured 2 new modular health clinics to support our gynecology and COVID-19 efforts, and we will continue to employ best practices and leverage CDC and Virginia Department of Health guidelines and manage COVID-19. We are evolving and adjusting to the mental health and wellness needs of our students. We remain committed and focused on providing resources and programming. In the mental health area, some of our innovative activities, which were noted last year and picked up by the press, we received some very positive input from our efforts last year. We have mental health first aid training for faculty and staff, relaxation activities such as yoga and massage therapy. And this I was very pleased to hear about. We did implement ride-along mental health counselors to support campus police. in the evening hours, and I think that's a very positive step. The committee discussed Virginia State's challenge in recruiting and retaining healthcare professionals, which is a national challenge, and a discussion of some of the partnerships that are being undertaken to deal with that. Ms. Regina Barnett Tyler provided a comprehensive overview of the Division of Student Success and Engagement. She gave us a summary of activities and initiatives. They've been very busy preparing for this increased enrollment that we knew was coming. They had a one-stop shop for move-in and check-in. There were a lot of things going on, working on modifying the rooms in the dorms and working with facilities and maintenance and getting everything ready. We have an increased need for indoor event space and staffing, dealing with the student body, and they're all just sort of moving at light speed all the time with all the enthusiasm that I'm sure you all, if you know Ms. Barnett Tyler and her team, can only just imagine the enthusiasm with which they have embraced this new challenge. Chief Bragg gave an update on the campus crime report. He did discuss recent events and additional measures to improve communication and alerts with reference to emergencies. There was a significant discussion surrounding measures being undertaken to ensure the safety and security of the first really open homecoming that's coming up in how many days?
15 days.
Okay, you all had it down yesterday, in 15 days, because the logistics of that are quite daunting. So there was a good bit of discussion about that and making sure that the campus and everyone who comes on campus, the students and alums, remain safe. There was also a discussion, there's been an uptick in sexual assaults in August and September. The president made reference to when you have so many new students to college life and campus life, you have new issues that arise, and the provost, the president, the chief are all cognizant of that, and they have been working with Title IX folks, the SGA, and working on awareness and safety measures. We were real pleased to hear about some technology initiatives with respect to lighting and communication that will be coming on campus. Chief Bragg communicated challenges due to the increase in student population. There's difficulty in maintaining high visibility due to the need for additional staffing to support the off-campus locations. So we have riches and we have challenges that go with those. Right now, it's being addressed through mandatory overtime for the officers, which is wearing on the officers. They're managing. That works for the short time. Additional staffing is ultimately likely needed. Additional staffing is also needed with the increase in service calls and the number of campus events, all of that coming from the additional enrollment. So we will be looking at that. Chief Bragg and the provost and president will be looking at as we go forward. To address the emerging threats to HBCUs, which the governor has been very aware of, provided additional funding for in the budget. Our police department participated in a course that addressed campus emergencies, prevention, response, and recovery. The course was facilitated by the Department of Homeland Security, the Office of Civil Rights and Civil Liberties, in collaboration with the Department of Education and the White House Initiative on Advancing Educational Equity, Excellence, and Economic Opportunity through the HBCUs. In addition, Virginia State Police Department participated in active shooter training with the Chesterfield County Police Department. We like seeing that kind of partnership. And finally, the VSU Police Department has several trainings scheduled for faculty, staff, and students, which include active shooter, fire safety, and CPR first aid AED training. And one thing I was pleased to hear was that Chief Bragg noted that for the first time, I don't know if you all are familiar with it, but our SGA, their officers mirror our officers. So you have a president and a president, you have a VP of finance, they have a VP of finance, and so forth. And for the first time now, Chief Bragg has an SGA counterpart, which makes absolute sense. So there's one person on the SGA court, of the Revolutionary Court, administration, not court, who works directly with the police. And I think that's a very good way to make sure that we have communication. As Chief Bragg said, the age level in the police department isn't all that, and now I'll age myself, hip to how they communicate with students, but that having that direct link with the SGA will help them. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, or I'd be happy now to ask the president of the SGA and our student representative to give her report, and then we will move on to our faculty representative, Professor Jackson, and our staff representative. So we can move forward. All right.
Revolutionary administration.
Revolutionary administration.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Yanaya Campbell. I am a senior political science major hailing from the great Brooklyn, New York, and I am humbled and honored to be amongst you all today. Thank you so much for allowing me to sit in these past few days. It has been truly nothing short of amazing. So before you all, I have a presentation of the Student Government Association and giving you sort of the students' perspective of everything we've heard of so far. So our administration is called the Revolutionary Administration. So this is our administration. Our administration is made up of a president, an executive vice president, VP of Academic Affairs, VP of Institutional Advancement, VP of Administration and Finance, VP of Student Success and Engagement, our Director of Marketing, Graphic Designer, Official Photographer, and so on and so forth. So the goal, mission, and values of the Revolutionary Administration: to create a long-lasting legacy beyond us, leaving VSU students with the tools that prepare them for the real world to help VSU 26, 27, 28, and 29 be able to thrive. The vision is to revolutionize, evolve, and build an empire of communication, engagement, and student success that makes it the student body be able to bond and expand, and our values, being relatable, holding each other accountable, servant leadership, being personable, transparent, inclusive, and our slogan is my favorite. It is called For the People, By the People. Now, the reason I say it's my favorite is when we say For the People, By the People, yes, we are speaking of students, but my job specifically entails being a liaison for the administration. So the administration includes For the People. So we look forward to working with the administration and explaining some of the initiatives that we took place for so far this year. So the semester overview. The campus environment at the start of the year has been very productive. Students are settled into their classes and are participating in student activities. Enrollment of a large class has caused the campus to be very active. So when we mean active, we mean students walking to class and it finally feeling like a home again. So when you go to your STEM classes, when you just go to Foster, you see students walking and interacting and having that HBCU family feel. So previous accomplishments. So we have been able to work with Mr. Davenport and have a strong relationship with him, and he has been able to provide students free laundry for the 2022-2023 academic school year. We know parking has been an issue for students, and some students weren't able to afford vouchers, so we were able to work with Mr. Davenport to provide them free parking vouchers for the 2022-2023 academic school year. And we are a firm believer in there is no I in teams. So under our administration, we were able to implement SGA committees. So we have a committee on personal enrichment and confidence and career services, and essentially that committee works on building students' confidence and allowing the longevity of everything that they learn at VSU to carry with them. So there we're teaching them interview skills, we're teaching them their greetings, we're teaching them how to interact beyond VSU. We also have a mental health and wellness committee where we work with Dr. Ellison, The following committee we have is hospitality relations. So when we have football games and different student governments come, we interact with them. Following that, we have a committee on community service. We know it is imperative to ensure that the surrounding community interacts with SGA as well. And following that, we have a committee on cafeteria food. Along with Mr. Davenport, we have been able to provide the students with Ghost Kitchen hours. So what is Ghost Kitchen? Ghost Kitchen essentially provides students with an opportunity to eat between the hours of 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. So the reason this came about, a student came to the Student Government Association, and he let us know because of his religious background, he wasn't allowed to eat until the sun went down. And he complained to SGA, and he said, there's nowhere for me to eat, and the only option I have is to go off campus, and I have no car. So administration was able to work with us to implement Ghost Kitchen hours, and not only were they able to do that, but as of yesterday, Mr. Davenport helped us lower the prices so that now Ghost Kitchen hours is affordable to all students. So it is downstairs from the hours of 10 p.m. to 1 a.m., and it is available to all students. Preceding that, we also partner with Campus Police to ensure that we have a self-defense class, and we hosted an SGA week with the entire student body leading up to our inauguration. So SGA Week was a week-long event where we're connecting students with their Student Government Association. On Monday, we had the grand opening of our office. It is imperative that students know that we are here for them. Our office is located in Foster 206. On Tuesday, we had a day of fun on the yard. That's where we were able to bring out the jump ropes and hula hoops, popcorn. We were able to make TikToks with the students and bring back that fun HBCU life. On Wednesday, my administration and I were able to go to Jones and serve the kids fried chicken Wednesday, and that was definitely an experience. We have a newfound respect for Thompson Hospitality and the team. We were able to, deal with students who wanted a thigh instead of a breast, and they wanted certain parts of the macaroni, and it really allowed us to interact with students on a different level. On Thursday, we handled business, and business is a gun violence panel, and we sat with a panel of student leaders across the Divine Nine to speak about gun violence on campus and their home backgrounds and how we can implement that and fix it on our campus. Preceding that, we had an ice cream social. We were able to partner with Mr. Griffin and Thompson Hospitality to provide students with something to do on the weekend. So we've been able to work with administration to allow students to have something to do on the weekend so they aren't bored and they aren't sitting in their rooms and they're being interactive. On Sunday, we were inaugurated, and preceding that, our administration, being the revolutionary administration, places a huge focus on community service. And when we say community service, we mean surrounding HBCUs. Following the incident that occurred in Jackson, our administration was able to collect water and donate cases of water to Jackson State University to ensure that that partnership between Virginia State University and Jackson HBCUs is still connected. And this is our SGA week. This is our administration, and this is us working behind the counter. They gave us hairnets and aprons. Again, a newfound respect for Thompson Hospitality. This is us with our lovely advisor. We were able to connect with class council. So, as SGA in the past, SGA has served on a larger board of student leadership. It was really imperative for our administration to work with the class presidents and make sure that they're interactive. And we're hearing each class's voice and figure out how we can incorporate that to the bigger mission of a transformative experience. So current issues. So the current issues that students are facing is campus safety, which we were able to host a town hall. It was our first town hall in the past 2 years, and we had a collective between faculty and students of 60 people in attendance, and we were very, very grateful for administration coming to support. Following that, students are complaining about their dining hall experience and lack of food quality. So with that being said, we were able to work with Dr. Minnis to construct a survey where students are able to say what the problem with the food was, how they want to improve it, rather than bringing it to social media. So we're giving them an outlet to express their concerns about the issue, but in a constructive way. Following that, we were able to work with IT on the campus Wi-Fi, and they have been very, very helpful in keeping that communication line opening. And following that, we have been working with Dr. Palm and my VP Maria to ensure that advisor communication is imperative, because the main part of student leadership, again, is student, and we want to ensure that we are all out and for. So again, these are just the current initiatives we're working on. I can't express how grateful and how much of a pleasure it has been to work with administration. Coming into SGA as SGA president, I was a little bit nervous, but President Abdullah's administration and President Abdullah have been nothing short of supportive. I come to President Abdullah weekly with these broad ideas of our revolutionary administration. Just to give an example, last week I told President Abdullah I think it would be amazing if students had a chance to go to Africa. I've never seen a HBCU be able to take a fun trip with their president to go to Africa. And not only was President Abdullah receptive to the idea, but he was extremely supportive. So President Abdullah, Dr. Palm, Mr. Davenport, and the entire administration has just been a pleasure to work with. It has not been a time that we came to them with a student concern and they have turned us away. So the relationship that we formed with President Abdullah's administration has truly been a great one. If there are any questions, we can take them now. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could?
Yes.
First, I just wanted to say, before I talk great about our SGA president, I wanted to say that the rector was inspired about a group of students going to Africa, and she wants to go, and so she's going to donate some money so that, so some of you can go, and so she can go. So I just wanted you to know that you just inspired a whole bunch of people. So great work, Dr. Campbell. Yeah, please clap for everybody. So I also wanted to say that it is a great pleasure working with this administration, SGA, and also I want to say she's very kind, and I appreciate that kindness. But I think it's also important to note that she really takes students' concerns and brings them back. When I mentioned yesterday about the challenges with safety and security and the way that the students felt because of how we didn't react, that information came from our SGA president. And so helping us kind of overcome the challenges that we have, the way that she's able to communicate to us in a transparent way is just fantastic. And so I am a big fan, and thank you for all you do, ma'am.
Thank you, President Abdullah.
And your advisor, Mr. Lyons.
Thank you, President Abdullah.
Thank you so much. You are part of our committee, and we looked to you several times yesterday and appreciated your input very much. And the communication is so important for our committee to hear from you, and to have that in your view and your voice. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you. And again, I just want to express my gratitude. Virginia State has become more than a home, so much so that I encourage my little sister to come to Virginia State. Now she's a sophomore here. And thank you. Thank you. I always say that I don't speak on Virginia State because I'm a student leader, but I speak on Virginia State because Virginia State has made me the student leader I am today. So I'm just so grateful and forever embedded to VSU. And however my administration can work with you all to ensure that this VSU maintains for VSU 29, 30, and 31, we're always open. So again, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. And Professor Jackson, our faculty representative, if you could give us your report, we would appreciate that so much. And Professor Jackson also sits with our committee, and looked like that monitor was coming to get you there for a second.
It's the height.
Thank you.
So, trying to. Well, I just want to say to Yania, that was wonderful. I don't know if it's a tough act to follow. For sure. But good afternoon, Madam Rector, Board of Visitor members, VSU administration, other colleagues. My name is Tracy Jackson. I'm the Vice Chair of the Faculty Senate, and on behalf of the Chair of the Faculty Senate, Dr. Leonard Kathinji, I thank you for the opportunity to provide a brief remarks to share what is happening in the life of the Faculty Senate. First, I too would like to thank the administration. President Abdullah, Dr. Palm, and his team have authentically provided a collaborative, transparent, shared governance experience with us. I've been on Faculty Senate for a very long time, and now in an executive position. It's really been great to be able to work with them, to meet with Dr. Palm every Tuesday, to kind of discuss some of the issues, and to hear him provide his transparency in the remarks that he has for us to take back to the Senate. So some of the things that we have going on, we've finished our calendar for the year, and it's based on the Board of Visitors meetings, because Dr. Kathinji or myself will have to, be here on the committee with Dr. Curry, and on other Virginia State calendar activities that we have. Some of the priorities and issues for the Faculty Senate include the pay equity implementation strategy that President Abdullah talked about in his presentation. We are also looking at the promotion and tenure procedures and deadlines, looking at how we can revamp those, reevaluate those for faculty, and strategies to remove VSU from the AAUP censure, which is something that has kind of been ongoing. One of the other things that we're working on, the last thing that we're really working on, is we're working with Technology Services on a webpage for the Faculty Senate. We received the first draft back last week from Technology Services and hope to have the site live at the end of the fall semester, which will give faculty, all our faculty, an opportunity to kind of see what the leadership looks like. They'll see I think the minutes from our meetings, and just have access to some of the other resources Faculty Senate has on campus and throughout the university. So, thank you very much for your time.
Are there any questions?
Are there any questions?
Sorry. Dr. Abdullah?
I do. First, I wanted to thank Dr. Kathinji in his absence and Dr. Jackson for their great work with the Faculty Senate. I think COVID in some ways for us was a blessing in terms of really bringing us together around the central issues of campus. And it's great to continue to have a collaborative working relationship with the Faculty Senate. But I also wanted to say for Dr. Jackson in particular, for those of you who've been on the board, you remember the race car thing, Raja Karuth? Well, she's the one who did that.
Okay.
So she's very active. She's one of our sports management faculty members, very active with NASCAR. That's her connection. Our entire relationship with NASCAR is because of Dr. Tracy Jackson. So I just wanted you all to know
Very
that.
nice.
Thank you.
Well, that's fun. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you very much. And our final report will be from our Staff Senate representative. Ms. Jones is making her way over now. Welcome. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Rector Brown, members of the board, President Abdullah, and guests. My name is Sylvia Jones, and I am the Vice Chair of the Virginia State University Staff Senate. At our Fall 2022 event, the opening conference held on August the 11th, Staff Senate proudly assisted in making the event a success. Thank you to our fearless leader, Mr. Danny Giles, who is our Staff Senate Treasurer. Staff Senators Danny Giles again and Ms. Deborah Howard were presenters at opening conference. Mr. Giles talked on first-generation students. Mrs. Howard talked on items related to Title IX. On August the 12th, Staff Senate assisted with our Health and Wellness Day. That day began with a 2-mile fitness walk where we invited staff and faculty to be engaged in healthier ways, especially during this time where anxiety is high, to help us to relieve some of that anxiety. We want to thank Dr. Red for her inspiration. She was right there rooting us on. In June of this year, we held our very first staff banquet. Dr. Palm gave us the charge on last year, and President Abdullah and the administration supported us each step of the way. At the event, we recognized our staff employees of the month, and we awarded our very first Employee of the Year That award went to Ms. Dorothy Yancey, who's our Financial Planning and Academic Operations Analyst in the Provost's office. We received so many positive comments from that event, from staff. They were excited to be there, and many that were not able to come were sorry that they missed that event. Next year's banquet, we plan for it to be bigger and better. Staff morale, I'm happy to report, is increasing. We are working to make sure that we continue to implement tools and activities that will help push that momentum for staff. Our Staff Senate lastly, would like to thank the university for inviting Staff Senate to many of our university events. We have been able to accomplish so many things with the support of our President Abdullah, with the administration here at Virginia State University, and its leadership. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Madam Chair, I'd like to first thank you, Ms. Jones, as Vice Chair, and of course, Ms. Thomas in her absence, for all of the work that you all have done this year. The Staff Senate is relatively new. I think we started about right when I got here, 6 or 7 years ago.
Yes, sir.
But it has really started to engage in ways in this past year, far and away more than previous years. And so the work that you all have done has just been incredible. And so I want to thank you. In that vein, I also want to thank Dr. Palm as your Executive Vice President and Provost. He has really tried to make sure that the Staff Senate had what they needed to get things done. And in handing off the opening conference to the faculty and Staff Senate so that our opening conference was really pushed by members of our community. So I want to thank you for taking the charge, and Dr. Palm, I want to thank you for giving it.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your reports. And with that, Madam Rector, we are finished with our reports, and I'm happy to answer any questions. but
Okay.
we're
Well,
finished.
thank you, Ms. Curry. I echo everything President Abdullah have already said about the staff. So I want to thank you, Ms. Curry, as chair of this committee. You have done an outstanding job. I know you've already told me, yeah. You already said you're on the short list. I know your term is expiring at the end of this year, right? You got 2 more to go? Okay. Well, we're trying to keep it as long as we can. You've been doing an outstanding job, and I appreciate you tolerating me. I know I call you all the time, and I'm emailing you, but you've done an outstanding job, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your leadership. And with that, we will turn it over to Ms. Gordon, Institutional Advancement.
Thank you, Madam Rector. Y'all, we had a good time in our meeting yesterday. Probably for one of the first times in history, I'm looking at Dr. Red, we ran over, which typically we are done fast, but it was with a lot of good stuff. So we started our meeting yesterday with Tanya Hall, who's our VP of External Relations, who talked to us about institutional advancement and what they did, and kind of dissected the different things that team does, and talked us through kind of the evolution of a gift and development and fundraising, which I thought was really great. She also spent some time talking to us about our role as board members and as members of the Institutional Advancement Committee in kind of supporting our strategic plan and getting checks, which is great. We also got to hear about what we're doing to engage our alumni. Franklin came up and talked about some great activity happening there. And then also really exciting, we had a couple of case studies where Chip came up and talked about some great donations that the university has gotten, and just kind of the evolution of that, and how it's not a fast thing, it's a journey. We always say in diversity, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and talked about a couple of those marathons that have yielded some great donations to the university. And then we had another case study with Dr. Williams Dandridge and Eldon around Amtrak, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So that was a great presentation. And it was just really, I think, great for all of us to try to understand a little bit more about what that team does, because it's really critical to our strategic plan. And the couple of things that that group works on in that strategic plan are priorities 4 and 5. One being defining our brand and telling our story, and we are all, as a board, very much a part of that. And then the next is our financial resources and enhancing operational effectiveness, so truing back to our strategic plan. If we get to the numbers look great as well. So we are up 25% in our philanthropic support, so up to just a little over $4.7 million, which is amazing. And while that's exciting, the one thing that we are keeping our eye on is actually the number of donors has gone down. So the number of donors has gone down, but the good news is the amount they're donating has gone up. So we are looking at how we can start to get those numbers up. By industry standards, 45.5% of our donors are retained yearly, and then the average donor's lifespan is 4.6 years. The other thing that we're really looking at and planning a strategy to get ahead of is attrition, and really starting to engage students before they become alum, and that way they are more engaged alumni once they graduate. And so really trying to figure out how do we start to penetrate more of that alumni population. So corporate foundation and organizational philanthropic support to VSU is just under $3 million, which is up 70% over the previous year, which is huge. As we look at tuition assistance, philanthropic support total $557,000, a little over that. This is not only 17% over last year's total, but also the first time that we reached our annual goal of $500,000. So that's purely tuition support, which is awesome. We are excited about, I'm smiling because I see this word, our 2022 Homecoming Trojantic Match Challenge. It's going to be Trojantic, y'all. We are confident that this, along with all of our engagement initiatives, and each of the board members, Dr. Red sent, if you haven't seen it, one of her attachments is a listing of all the homecoming activities. If you have any questions, you can also ask anybody in the room, and they'd be happy to fill you in. But we're really excited about those initiatives, and we know that that's going to help us grow the number of alums who want to donate and participate. So that was just a great update. Just a quick reminder, our goal as a board is 100% participation. There are lots of ways for you to participate. Last night we got to see our first Stegmeyer Scholars. And so that is a fund that we started this year in honor of Jay Stegmeyer, so that is a way for you to participate. There's also scholarships that you can support. We may have an Africa Fund, Madam Rector, that you can support as well. And I will say no amount is too small, and when we say 100% participation, it can be a personal donation from you. It can be a donation on your behalf from your corporation. I'd love to see both. And what I will say is Big Check Chip will take all checks. So there is no amount that's too small. And really that is because it is hard for us to ask others to support our university if we don't do it ourselves. So I do encourage you to do that, and we can make it easy for you. Just see me or Tanya or anybody from the team after the meeting. We'd be happy to help. Now on to communications. Brandmaster G had lots of fun things to share with us. Y'all, that's Dr. Williams Dandridge. She's got a new nickname. It's Brandmaster G. She talked to us yesterday about more ways that we are defining the BSU brand and telling our story. It was an exciting presentation. We talked about a branding project focused on our entrance. And so, first of all, our new electronic sign, which a lot of you have probably seen. Yesterday, there was a message on it for the board. We've lined the perimeter of our campus with different BSU flags. We refurbished the police hut. I haven't seen that yet. I'm going to drive down to see it, but it looks a lot nicer and is branded BSU. There's also signage on the fence. as well, and then logo stamps in the roadway leading up to the campus. There's a major athletic initiative with our football stadium, and then just some more branding photos, some more branding for photos taken at commencement, so that when people are taking pictures of folks on the stage, there's new branding that's behind the stage. The team is working to keep our name in the media, so lots of success stories around the Kyle Jacobs story, who was the athlete who appeared in BSU gear, which was awesome, the wink from God, as Dr. Dandridge said on the Today Show. And then we had a presentation about planes, trains, buses, and automobiles, although the plane hasn't happened, but I have no doubt that it will. We are getting branding in a number of places, including the Amtrak station that's here. We are wrapping 4 buses, I think. 2. I'm being ambitious. Okay. 2 for now, all of them eventually, per President Abdullah. And working on a car just so that regardless of the method of transportation you take, you will see Virginia State, which was exciting. As always, we'll continue to look for opportunities to brand and help people learn about our great university here. And then we will also continue to look for ways to make sure those donations keep coming in. It is nice to see money in the bank, but there is never too much money in the bank, so we will continue to push. Huge thank you to the team. I have a great team that I work with, and it's just been exciting to see all of this happen. So thanks to the team for all of their hard work. And that concludes my report.
Any other comments or questions, Ms. Gordon? Again, I want to thank you again, Ms. Gordon, and you've been doing a great job, obviously, again, with institutional advancement. I just love all my chairs. Y'all are so good. But I want to encourage, again, all the other board members, please, if you can, if time permits, I know it's tough, but if you can attend the committee meetings, I do encourage you to do so. I think the committee chairs do an excellent job summarizing what's going on in the committees, but when you actually attend some of these committees and actually see the staff make their presentations, I mean, it is, again, so encouraging. And I think that's a part of the enthusiasm that you see, you know, that you talk about the board, because you see and feel their excitement, and you get into the details of the work that they're actually doing. And some of the presentations are really, really, well, all of them are really, really, really good. And I think you would benefit a lot from being a part of that. So again, thank you, Ms. Gordon. Thank you, staff. You did a great job. If there are no other questions on institutional advancement, then we will move to Mr. John Moore for Audit Committee.
We ran a rather brief meeting, and that was because we were having so much fun in Mrs. Gordon's meeting. So, no, actually, I would tell you a lot of work happened outside of committee on some key initiatives that we've been working on. And so the meeting was really just an update to the committee on where we're at with some key items. We got a lot of work that was done by Ms. King-Casey, who does a fantastic job keeping us all in line. She gave an update on the newly minted Office of Institutional Integrity and Compliance. She introduced Nanette Williams, who we all got a chance to meet. We also thanked Ms. Tasha Owens for the work that she did as Interim Chief of Audit. We got a corrective action plan update, which was a really good update. To give you the top line, last year, this time, we were sitting at 50 open items. We are now at 20 open items, and we're continuing working to close those items out. Other things that we talked about, and I bring this up only because a lot of this work was approved in the June meeting, but we do have an audit manual, we have an audit charter, and we have an audit plan that's been approved, and so that really came through the leadership of Ms. King-Casey and Ms. Tasha Owens. I did ask our new Chief of Audit to take a look at our audit plan and just make sure that it fit with what her expectations were as well, and so I think when you hire a Chief of Audit, you should allow them to look at that plan. She's going to come back at our next meeting and give us an update on what she thinks and if there's any changes that she'd recommend making. The last thing that we talked about, and I tell the whole board this because ultimately we are accountable as a board for the timelines that the university comes back to us on follow-up on corrective action plans. The APA every year does an audit looking back at a past year. So the APA started in January an audit of our 2021 fiscal year. And typically, that audit ends in April with a report. And the reason that the report is handed out in April is before your next fiscal year starts, you want to be able to build corrective action plans against those items. And the majority of schools receive their reports in April, and those that don't typically receive them in June. In fact, 12 of the 14 institutions that were looked at received their reports in June. You might remember last year, we received our audit report in January. So that meant that our team went through almost a full fiscal year without being able to build corrective action plans, which only means that you're going to have repeat offenses over and over again. We have yet to receive our 21 fiscal year report. We had Mr. Sturgeon from the APA. I brought that up in the meeting. Nanette Mrs. Williams is having a meeting with him on Tuesday to get more information on where we stand. But I bring this up only to let you know that I won't be surprised when we get that report if there are items that are repeats, because it is impossible for there not to be due to the timing lag. And so it's something that I know is difficult for our folks that work on these items, especially Mr. Davenport, who has a responsibility of managing our finances. And so I ask as a board, we be mindful of those things as we get the audit report. And also I think that there needs to be a push from the committee to make sure that we see some timeliness moving forward. So that's something that I hope you will hold me accountable to, and I plan to continue to dig into that and represent the board with the APA in those areas, because I think that's our job, not necessarily the job of the staff to do so. So with that, if there's no questions, I'll yield my time back.
Any questions or comments? Again, Mr. Moore, thank you. You don't have a roadmap to follow. I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Curry.
I would just applaud your leadership with
Absolutely.
the APA. And good luck.
Appreciate it.
You decided not to say anything after that, right? Yeah, we know there's a challenge there, and we do applaud the effort that you've put there, and it's been tremendous because, as I was beginning to say, you don't have a roadmap to follow. Audit Committee is a brand-new committee as a subsidy of what used to be Finance, Facilities, and Audit. We have separated it. So again, thank you for your leadership, but you are planting a great roadmap for your successor to follow. So you've set the bar high. Thank you very much. With that, Mr. Sessoms, you are up for Personnel, Compensation, and Governance.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. We had a very good time with our meeting. It was not very long either, but it was really outstanding in terms of information that was shared by Ms. Tanya Simmons. There were 4 categories of discussion: human resources update and accomplishments, the climate survey and compensation study, university recruitment, and the Cardinal HCM payroll and IRS system. For those who have not been here for a while, the Human Resources Department was in the basement of Virginia Hall and not very active and not very much, I would say, not very much credit was given to the work they could be doing. And I think Ms. Tanya Simmons and her staff are now bringing that around, and we're seeing some more and better work, more important work being done for the university. Some of her accomplishments were electronic onboarding. Instead of having everything done by paper, we're now working with the HRIS systems to build electronic formats and processes so things that flow through paper. And one thing to talk about technology and the impact of technology on being efficient. That's the first part of that. Electronic personnel transactions as well. She's going to outsource our criminal background checks so they can be done by a professional and be done by the time you get your offer letter. We already know whether you can keep the job or not. So proactive on that. We now have an intranet site for forms, HR information, and the manager's portal. So anything you need to know about HR from a practical point of view is there and available for both all the staff, professors to go to and get information, maybe not have so much phone work go between the staff in the HR department because the information is there and available. Open recruits, we still have 4 open positions: an HR compliance officer, an employee relations consultant, an employment specialist, and a benefits administrator. If we get an HR compliance officer, it allows Ms. Simmons to elevate the strategy as opposed to day-to-day tactics, because most of the work comes in the office about phone calls and et cetera. And I think that we get that done, we'll be in a lot better shape. We got an update on the climate survey. If you heard today, Mr. President said they're going to fund what it costs, comes out of the climate survey and the benefits update. But climate survey said that we're in a pretty good way. Most of the people at the university, both staff and professionals, are happy to be here. They feel good about the work that they're doing and the benefits it does for the students. And to be a part of something like Virginia State is rewarding work. And they were very, very excited about that, both faculty, staff, and administration. As always, in any survey, no one's being paid enough, and they don't move through the grades fast enough. So all that came out as a part of the survey. So we took that information and working with the same consultant, they're going to recommend how we change our pay grades across the board, and we're going to put folks in the right pay grades so that they can advance, hopefully in a shorter period of time, we'll make more money in a period of time, and more importantly, be recognized for the work they do and the value that they add. As you heard the President say, we're going to add about 1.3 or more, $1.5 million to the adjustments to payrolls before we get to hopefully January 31st, soon if we can do it, because more money in your pocket makes you feel better about where you work, and more is better. So we thank them for that. So, Mr. President, we appreciate your follow-up to that. And again, understand that the climate survey came out of like a staff survey that was kind of improperly done, but it was different. But we had to give a shout out to the team, Tanya and the folks around the table who were with her. We're trying to put this together with Dr. Palm and get a consultant who was credible and who can give us a validation point and have we have a mark in the sand that says, here's where we are, and from here, maybe 2 years from now, we'll do another survey and find out where we are then and what issues that show up, that we can professionally say, these are things that the staff, the alumni, the students, et cetera, said about the university and how they feel about them, and it bubbles up. I think as people feel good about the work, they feel good about the salary, they feel good about the value that they add. Climate survey findings, 70% happy to work at Virginia State, believe the student success is the top priority. Communication is concerned, the Trojan Shuffle, what the students said. The Trojan Shuffle is when you go from place to place to place to get your opening prep work done and get your room assignment and get your classes and all that. And they got tired of moving back and forth. So Dr. Palm worked very, very hard, especially with these number of students coming in, to hopefully clean up the process, make it a lot easier. And as you see, we got most of our folks are already validated in classes and doing a good job. So happy about that. The alumni were satisfied about their experience at Virginia State University, comfortable coming back after graduation, return to campus at least once or twice, maybe more per year. But they don't give any money back, so we're working on that part. But thank you very much. Survey takeaways, again, they love to be here, love the work they're doing. Staff compensation and customer service is the key. I'll move on to we got an update on how we're doing with hiring. And we are looking at how we can find ways to, in the case of Mr. Matthews, I think we did an overview of his org chart, Dr. Edwards. And he's gone back and revamped the positions, the number of jobs, the type he needs, and revamping the positions. So he had about 53 total positions when he got here, 20 were vacant, and he's asking for 62 total positions, of which 11 are now vacant and 12 are proposed new. As you heard him say earlier in this presentation, he's looking at having professionals who work certain parts of the system, and they can balance each other out, support each other, have backups. So we'll be more efficient, we'll have higher pay grades of people, bring the right professionals in, and deal with the support that we need from a technology point of view for the long term, as opposed to the individual events of I need this today and something else tomorrow and the next day, but we don't have a strategy on how we get to the right thing. And so we're slowing the process, going through the process of finding out what everybody needs, and Dr. Palm and he are getting with the individual department chairs, department heads, organization groups, and making sure that as we put new people in place, whether it be in procurement or in HR or in these other large organizations that support the staff that work here, we'll have the right folks in the right seats and make things run efficiently for both students and for staff. So we're excited about seeing that as well. The Cardinal HCMS is coming up. We go live on October 3rd, correct, Tanya? right now we'll be in a holding period, I guess, until we can no transactions, but this is the payroll system that the state uses. And we've been working on it since 2018, and we're now about to make it happen. And new payroll, human resources, benefits, absence management, time and attendance, all will be done online as opposed to being done on paper. All state agencies will, and the most part, all institutions will use this platform. Our training's getting started with our managers who know how to use it and how to manage their employees through the system. And we'll get that done in short order, and I think we'll be in good shape. All in all, that is about all that we had, but we were excited about the pay and benefits presentation, especially that we can now make some adjustments to that and put more payroll on some people, but also put people in the right ranges in terms of what they do. This climate survey validated what we thought, and now we have proof that what we think is right, and that's a very good place to be too. So Dr. Palm, for your help in just getting this done, and Mr. President for supporting the money, and for Kevin Davenport Money Bags, we appreciate you having money for that to happen too. So that is all I have, unless there are any questions about anything. Well, I want to thank my staff and committee groups for working with this, and we're making progress on purpose, and I think next time will be even better. So thank you very much, Ms. Tanya, for your leadership in this regard too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Once again, a great job, and we always say, we've been talking about it all day yesterday and all day today. When you bring the resources together and you got happy people, you got a great team. And so we're happy that Virginia State is in that place. Yeah, they're in that place. So thank you so much for your leadership. And last, we have Facilities and Finance, Mr. Murray.
Building on the theme we just heard, What? Yeah, we did. So I'm going to very much summarize what we...
That was an informal reminder, be sure.
There you go. Since the committee just met 2 hours ago, most of y'all were there, we started with a briefing by one of our asset managers, Spider Management. They're an actively managed fund. What we're doing is we're buying into their overall fund and their overall management approach. The way they think of it, they look at peer benchmarks, and then they look at what a passively managed fund, an index fund, mix of stock or bonds would be. They represent they're in the top quartile in terms of how you look at things. Returns over time, and we've only been with them a short time, have been good. This year, admittedly, today included, it's been a retrenchment day on investment markets, but nonetheless, a good report, and I think our internal staff are comfortable with how they're managing the funds. We had a closed session where we just generally discussed the thinking around the real estate portfolio. In terms of financial statements, we've got a wealth of financial information in Diligent for you to look at. What our CFO highlighted is how we ended the year with an $8.7 million cash surplus spread among the 2 agencies, as well as for student aid. We met all our key benchmarks, and to summarize there, 106% of state funds we closed with, 109% of tuition, and that only happens when we have more enrolled than budgeted, and that's very good news theme that is going to continue this fall. And 110% of auxiliary enterprise. Again, that's mostly reflecting more people on campus using the various auxiliary services, dining being an example of that, than had been budgeted. Quarter's not over yet. It ends on the 30th, but management's got pretty good visibility on the quarter. We received $22 million from the state that was not budgeted. We budgeted, not knowing where the state budget would end, we budgeted last year, as any prudent entity would. So we've certainly got some incremental gain there. Enrollment is at 4,500. We budgeted 4,100. So you can sort of do the mental math there on there where that leads us. Even more materially, particularly for the auxiliary enterprises, we have 3,100 on-campus students right now. We budgeted 2,200. So it's a very significant uplift, and that's why you probably hear a lot of discussion around housing issues going forward. That's a good problem to have. At any enrollment-driven institution, which is really any institution, having a scramble a little on housing, that's a good problem. That's a good news thing. In terms of cash balances, $64 million in university cash. Typically, our run rate, or not run rate, our benchmark in prior years would be $25 million. The McKinsey Scott money, again, sits out there separately. $30 million, and then we've got $23.6 million remaining in federal CARES funds, recommending that those have very significant strings attached to them. Got to have compliant programs, but and in a very good cash position. With that, I'll thank our entire CFO team, starting with Mr. Davenport himself, both internally and his external partners, and I'll be happy to answer or yield to staff, as the case may be, to answer any questions. Thank you all very much.
Mr. Sessoms?
We're in a good place. Thank you very much.
I will make this Irish observation that all Irish are unhappiest when things are going well, so it is great that we have substantial reserves because the good times never last. So it's good that we are setting money aside for a rainy day.
I know you're right. Thank you, Mr. Murray, and I agree. I mean, it's been a great turnaround in the last 4 years from where we were and where we are now. So kudos to Virginia State, the leadership, and also your leadership as chair of the Finance and Facilities Committee. With that, we are ready for Ms. Brenda Fitch, who is chair of the VSU Foundation.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, all the Board of Visitors. I'm excited to be here. I think this is maybe the first time I've ever physically stood here. So it's always good to be live as opposed to Memorex. And I felt like I've been Memorex for the last 2 years or so. But this won't be long. And I hope I can follow the green button, right? Okay, this is a pretty slide because this one is not, and we all know why. The market has had its challenges. We all know the reasons. Our portfolio was, as of July 31st, 2022, was $27 million. It's down quite a bit, as most portfolios are, and our strategy is a bit more aggressive than Spider's. And so we know that, and we do that deliberately, because when the market is up, it's truly, truly up for us. So I won't go over all these details here, but you can see that the strategies for the 5-year was good, but over the 10-year period, it was even better. So we'll just wait for the market to come back, and we'll be ready for it. As you all know, the foundation does many pass-through funds for Virginia State University because we're a little bit faster, a little bit quicker. This one here is the Amazon services. This is our first venture with Amazon, and right now the Amazon has given us $10,000, but we think more is to come with this one. And this College of Engineering picks 10 students who are seniors to help them kind of finish out the year with their bills paid. And I know we talked about that earlier here, that's really critical, that our students leave here with as limited debt as possible. So this is a start for Amazon, and we can see a good future with them, with our university. Booster House, I know that you all are familiar with what we're doing with the Booster House. We're a pass-through for the projects that are being worked through Mr. Davenport's organization. And by the way, those ladies are phenomenal. They are such a talent, and we enjoy working with them. And the Booster House is what I'm hoping is just one of many projects we'll be doing through Mr. Davenport and his organization. Community schools, again, we've passed through for the community schools of Petersburg. We really give around $20,000 a year when the bills come due. The balance of this fund, Virginia State University funds, and we do with it what they tell us to do with it. So that is driven by the projects that they create, and we just provide the funding. Again, another lottery pass-through for VSU around $50,000. And you can see there's for football, basketball projects. This particular chart I want to really talk about for a minute. When you look at this chart, you can see our talent mix on the board, and I know some of you have seen it, but some of you have not. Except for one person on this chart, every single title on this chart is a graduate of Virginia State University. Every single person is a graduate of Virginia State University. We have a commercial airline captain, 3 retired executives, 3 business owners, PhDs, MBAs. I mean, these are Virginia State University students who have now progressed to these levels. And so we are excited about that. And when I hear the other students come, I can see their potential. I can see their future. And I want to say that as a result of Virginia State University, I'm one of the people on this chart. I have an MBA. Now, when you look at the Foundation Fellows, what we are doing, and this was talked about a little bit in a lot of different ways, the Foundation has added 3 what I call young graduates of Virginia State. They're in their 40s. That's young to some of us. And we've added them to the Foundation as non-voting members. But what we're doing is we are trying to get them to help us reach the students on campus. And one of the things that we are doing, we asked them to come up with something. So they've come up with something. And doing Winterfest, and we're working with Ms. Hall in her organization and with Ms. Davis, Peggy Davis. In the practice gym, we're going to try to have a function where we invite the students at Virginia State and tell them all about the foundation and make it fun for them. We're going to have panels, and these panels will be run by the 3 foundation fellows. And they are Courtney McIntosh, Michael Wesson, and Sade Holmes, and you may know them, but they we did a survey, research. We said, send a resume if you want to be on the foundation. And you'd be amazed at the resumes we got, young people wanting to participate. We picked 3 this year. We're going to pick 3 next year. And our desire here is to start training them now on how to be on boards, how to be on foundations, and of course pick their brains in terms of how to get our younger students and younger alums to participate at events at the university, and candidly to know about the foundation, because I didn't know anything about the foundation when I was here. Maybe we didn't have it when I was here. That could have been why. I've been here, haven't been here in a long, long time. But so we feel that the Foundation Fellows are going to be extremely beneficial to us in bringing the younger alums along and helping us relate to the students who are already here. So we're pretty proud of this particular initiative. And of course, the foundation will fund any upfront monies that they need to make this happen. So I'm almost done, but I want to just take a moment to say that I graduated from Virginia State University in 1971, long time ago. I've been here for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I can tell you right now, this is the good. I have seen the bad, I have seen the ugly, and I will say that the alums that I talk to, I have a list of 250 alumni that I can email tonight if I wanted to. I hear from them, they're happy, they see the progress that's being made, and they definitely love this school. So how do we crack that nut about how to get more of them to give? I'm willing to participate with anyone to help with that kind of work, but they are loving what they're seeing at the university. And I just want to let you know that. Any questions? Oh, one more thing. Dr. Abdullah and I used to talk a lot. And I used to say to him all the time, Dr. Abdullah, this is my school. It'll always be my school. It may not always be your school. I got to take that back. I think it's going to always be a school.
Hold on, ma'am.
We did all that.
Before you walk off too far, I wanted to say some words about her. First, many of you may not know, especially new board members, but her family has a very, very rich tradition at Virginia State University. While I'm not sure exactly how many siblings are there?
Well, how many?
Yes.
No. 10 siblings.
And how many went to Virginia State?
4 went to Virginia State.
And how many went to Norfolk State?
3 went to Norfolk State.
Right.
And then 1 went to Hampton, and 2 went to 2 went to VCU and 1 went to Virginia Tech. Now, that's 11, but because the one who went to Virginia State finished at Little State, Norfolk State.
Her brother, Pete Stith, is the chair of the board for the Real Estate Foundation at Virginia State University. Her other brother, Melvin Stith, was the interim president at Norfolk State University. So just, well, one, she comes from an incredible family, but two, she's been incredibly dedicated to VSU and the work that the foundation is doing right now to help us with our recurring gifts, to help us with some of our real estate work, particularly with the boosters, is to be lauded, and we appreciate everything you do for your university. Thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Hey, can I say something?
Yes, absolutely, Mr.
Plus, her brother was responsible for a long time, Pete, in the Black History Month and honoring that at Virginia State. He's a great man.
And he was the rector of the Board of Visitors.
That's right.
Yeah, he was the rector.
Wow.
But he went to Norfolk State.
Yeah, he went to Little State. And I told him he's been trying to make that up to me all these years. That's why he does all the work here at Virginia State.
Thank you, Ms. Finch. We really appreciate it. I've enjoyed talking to you out in the hallway as well, so even with that conversation, we are excited to continue to partner and do things, so just let us know what we can do to help. We're excited about the work you're doing. Legal counsel, any updates? No. Right? Any other announcements? Dr. Redd, are there anything else we need to know? Wayne, I guess I'm getting emotion from you, huh? I'm sorry, hold the motion. You have...
No, wait.
Okay, nothing from Dr. Redd, but I see he's packing up, so I see he's going to do the
No.
You have something? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Personnel, compensation, Wayne, look at you.
And governance.
And Governance Committee. One of the things we did, one of the reasons why the board got one of the best boards from HBCU is because we took the initiative at the end of every board meeting to give the board an opportunity to go around and say how the board committee and board meeting went. If there are any positive things you want to say, negative things you want to say, we're open because we always want to have a good board meeting, want all the board members to leave on a positive note, feeling like they've been heard in all situations. Correct. So Glenn, Mr. Sessions and I talked about that. He requested that we do this at the end of this meeting, so I'd like to adhere to the request that's coming from that committee. We thought it best that we would start with our new board members first so that the old board members not taint what they may or may not say. So we will start with you first. It doesn't have to be a long soliloquy, but we do want to know, how you feel about the board meeting, the temperament, the amount of information, good, bad, too much, too little, because we want to provide everybody what it is that they need to feel like they are not wasting their time, but actually contributing. So, Mr. Cosgrove, if you want to start.
Happy to, and thank you for the opportunity. I think this has been a good 2 days. I'm learning a lot, trying to get my feet wet as a new member of this board and get up to speed. I appreciate not just the committee meetings and the discussion here, but some of the discussions offline prior to this meeting with Mr. President, with Ms. Curry. I just appreciate the opportunity to pick your brains and really learn from you. And I think this has been a good meeting, certainly having spoken to many of my fellow board members last month and the past 2 days. It sounds like it's not always been like this, and really is good to come in at this point when we're doing so much good, when the finances are so good, when the admissions and enrollment are so strong, both the size and the quality, when we're able to get out and do some fun things, working in the community, working to uplift this community, and really being able to focus on that, I think, is terrific. And I think looking ahead, there's been some comments about the quality of the leadership and the administration here, and that's been evident, not just with the president, but with his cabinet, with the other presenters, with our student leadership. That's really been evident the past 2 days, and I think, the one thing that I hope is being done, whether at the board level or a staff level, is just preparing if there's any disruption there and making sure that the good times will continue, even if we do have any sort of disruption in that regard. So I think I'll leave it there, but appreciate everything the past few days, and appreciate Dr. Redd setting it all up.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cosgrove. Mr. Branch.
Thank you. It is a privilege to serve on this board, and I'm happy to be a part of it, having just come off another university's board. And so I've got, a lot of comparisons going on in my head, and I've just been so impressed with how welcoming everyone has been from the board, from my fellow board members, but especially from the VSU team, and how accommodating and how they just want to make sure you're taken care of. That starts with leadership. I love how student-centric our conversations are. I think that's so critically important, that we never lose sight of why we are here to serve, and to always start and end with what is best for our customers, the students. I think I felt that, and I see that. I didn't attend an HBCU, and I have family members who did, and I always was a little jealous of how family-oriented HBCUs are, and I now see firsthand what I missed, that energy, that passion for the mission. It just comes out in everything the professionals were sharing with us. I was blown away yesterday, particularly in the institutional advancement in the marketing committee meeting, with that energy there and that passion there, and something we have so little of is laughter. It was so nice to be part of the work, but the joy that the work was bringing forth with everyone. I just was swept up with that. And I hope we never lose that. I know we're talking good news, but when the days and the numbers don't reflect that we keep focus on that joy and that passion that we bring to this work. And if there was one recommendation, and I don't know if it was unique to this September meeting, I love mission moments. And if we could make sure every board meeting, not just a committee meeting, but a board meeting that we have, reflects the mission some way, some form, with students, with a special project on campus, or whatever magical thing that's happening out there in the university world, we could have that in front of us and reflect on why we're doing this mission. I would love to see that in the agenda. So that's my reflection.
That's very good. Thank you so much. Dr. Green.
Thank you. What I have been impressed thus far is that everyone who spoke complimented our president, the provost, and the support that they got from them. That's amazing to me, and I congratulate them, everyone. So all I can say is right on. I just don't have anything else to say. My first board meeting, when I was back in the day, I was getting migraine headaches. I have none now. I'm satisfied. So I just congratulate the president and his staff, the student leadership. To me, they've done a wonderful job thus far. And the money looks good.
Thank you, Dr. Green.
Madam
Dr. Dent, I'm sorry.
I asked Dr. Denton to give us a history lesson before he makes his connections today about what it was when he left.
Okay.
Okay?
Dr. Denton, did you hear that? He said make kind of a connection between the comparison of when you were and how it is now. When
Yes,
you make your comments.
Thank you for that. I'm here with gratitude and humility, day and night, rejoicing. Those of the board who took it and to a higher place. I was on the board for 2012 to 2016. 2014, 15 was very dark days. I was involved in a lot of them because I was chair for 3 years of the Student Affairs Committee and put me on the executive committee. When you're on the executive committee, then everything comes through there. I also had the privilege of serving on 3 search committees, one of which hired President Abdullah. I knew he was a candidate the very first interview. And I was on 4 search committees. I was on the foundation board, institutional advance committee, and things like that. We had programs that were in danger. We had notifications from SHEV. We had to end programs. We had to end degrees. We had shootings, drownings, lawsuits. We had 14, well, it started out as 7. No, maybe it's 8. No, it might be 9. It's an $11 million hole. What are we going to do? Close food courts, really? Close the particular dorms. And you remember, you see those numbers down in terms of what it was. And so I don't know that you fully realize just how dark some of those times were. And you talked about credibility, transparency. We had none. I couldn't believe anything that I saw. I did not. I'm sorry to say. And so it was a very challenging time and sometimes scary, and I was hoping I wouldn't end up in jail. But I would tell you, of my 40-some years in higher ed, that experience was certainly in my top 5. It was an incredible experience. I learned a great deal. I think I should get a master's degree in education, higher education. But what always is the high points were the students, because we heard presentations, we saw them, their excitement, incredible insight and sharing and caring, the passion. And I'd go back in Virginia Tech, most of them were just walking down looking at their phones. Here, it was chatting and just excitement. Also, in terms of legacy, in terms of President Abdullah being on the committee, I can say, and I won't take responsibility for bringing him to Virginia State. And the third thing you might find interesting, I have 3 CIAA championship rings on my display in my study. I was on the search committee for the football coach. I was on the search committee for the basketball coach. Football coach won CIAA championship twice, the basketball coach once, and I've got these 3 beautiful rings that are as part of a memento. In any case, I'm overwhelmed, and I appreciate the work that you did. There were some really troubling times, but that's behind, and this is such a joy to be here now, so thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Denton. We will continue with you, Mr. Moore, and go around.
I thought it was a great meeting.
Okay.
The meeting was wonderful, and I think informative, transparent, continuing with that. And to Mr. Branch's comment about the mission moments, it's something that we normally do in the meetings we have at Academic and Student Affairs. We do like to highlight a particular program or a faculty member, and we normally do that, and you will see that next time. What to me was the best was last night, and to your point, to see Thursa and Charlie and Xavier was not there, but to remember, I came on the board 6 years ago, and just what those 3 individuals did so much toward building the capacity and bringing this board to where it is now. They were relentless in building board governance. Those three, particularly Charlie and Thursa, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do another retreat. I don't want to do any more training. Oh my God, leave me alone. And they really were relentless, and you will communicate, and you will do it this way, and you will do it that way. So seeing them and being able to kind of remember it was very nice. So thank you.
I don't have anything to add except to observe that I have never seen a more dramatic, enthusiastic, and expressive signer than has served us today. So, thank you very much.
I'll echo Mr. Moore. I think it was a great meeting. I don't have much to add. I'm reminded by Mr. Den's comments that I also have 4 championship rings from my time as the pitching coach for Virginia State University. We won 4 CIAA championships. Wow. So, and I'm not a graduate, but I love this school almost as much as I love North Carolina A&T.
I just have 2 very picayune things. One, I'm still with Mr. Fleming. We got a good report from Spider Management. It would be easier to follow if we'd seen the materials in advance. That's just a timing issue. But on a related note, staff make me a very helpful for the Finance Committee sort of executive summary. And if we just post that in Diligent for everybody. Many of us, we have many finance professionals on the board, but we've also got a majority of non-finance professionals. So speaking for the majority of non-finance folks, that summary is real helpful in putting the numbers in context. That's all I have, but great job.
Thank you. Yes. Well, I...
Is that one? Yeah.
Yes, you're on.
Well, I have been very impressed at how the board has been working. My first visit to Virginia State was in around 1967. And during that time, I actually attended classes here and graduated in 67 with a master's degree in applied mathematics. So I have seen a tremendous change in the school itself with the students, and I came here about 6 or 7 years ago to speak to several sessions of the students and to tell them about my journey, and they all seem to be very inspired by what I include in that story.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Gordon?
Yeah, I thought this was a great meeting. I always reflect, I joined during the pandemic, and so I'm always appreciative of the opportunity to get together in person. I'm also appreciative that we have moved beyond some topics that were painful to listen to, especially as a new board member when I had no idea what was happening. I also appreciated during this meeting we got to hear and see the students more, which was great. And then we got to hear from other members of the team and get an opportunity to see some of the teams below the leaders, or not below, but who work with the leaders to make some of the magic happen, to make the greater happen here, and that was great as well. And so hoping we can continue to do that, to kind of spotlight some other members of the team so that we can get exposure to even more of the great staff that works at the university.
I think we had a great meeting. I did note one thing. Almost every person who gave a presentation used the word excited. They're excited, and it's exciting times. I think Dr. Daniels does a lot of that. She just, when she gets you up there and she says, greater happens here, you got to believe it. She sells it so well. If you don't believe it, you must be asleep. But a year ago when I came on board, one of the things they were saying that one time we had ideas with no money. Now we got money, and now we need to get the ideas prioritized. And I think if we do that, we can't be anything but successful. The schools We got a great staff. You can tell it every time one of them stand up. You feel like when they finish, right in the middle of it, you feel like this applauding. But right when they finish, you say, we're headed in the right direction. We got the right people in the right place. And we got a cohesive board. You know, you can always disagree, but you don't have to be disagreeable. And so, and we've got that. We've got, and we're pulling in the same direction. I just look forward to working with them. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your comments and input. Optimism is a muscle that gets stronger the more we use it. And I heard that on the radio somewhere recently. And I figured I'd steal it. But, you know, I came in on Wednesday and went to the honors induction. And there were 700 honors induction kids. And they were in a room at the end of the day, not at a party, and they were happy to be there. 300 of them were freshmen. And the rest, it was a mostly male and female group that's normally all female on this campus. So I was happy to see that there were a whole host of African-American males with grades celebrating the fact that they were going to be a part of this. And then I spent last night after the dinner, went to another male mentoring program that Dr. Roberts invited me to, and speak to some young men who are trying to figure out how to be better men in life and learn about their history and their possibilities. So this campus is a special place. And some young men and young women I talked to, I'll just give you one example. Ms. Turner, she's a 60-credit freshman. Only because of VCAN is she here. She would not be able to afford to come to school except for VCAN. And she says, Mr. Sessom, I have a 4.0 GPA, and I will graduate with a 4.0 GPA. And I said, I'm sure you will. So the optimism of the students that I experienced myself is just transformative as well. And I think that comes from the president and his staff who tell people that you can't be less than excellent if you come to Virginia State. And that becomes a part of how I live, how I work, how I walk, how I breathe, and how I perform, both in here and outside of here. So I think we're on the verge of something great. I thank you, board members, for your comments. We will do this on a regular basis because we have to talk honestly to each other about how we behave in this meeting and also in committee. We don't have fractions. We don't have groups. We have individuals who are very smart and talented in their own way that add value to this entire organization and supporting this group. We are board governance above. They take care of the work. Our job is to ask the president, can you get this done? And if Kevin says we got it, they'll figure out when they can do it because it doesn't happen automatically sometimes. Because we don't prioritize, we just say it needs to move in that direction. So I thank you very much for allowing me to be a part of this and also for your support, Mr. President, and the work you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to each of you for your comments and your candor. We really appreciate it. Once again, I thank you for making it easy for me to serve as your rector. And I hope, Mr. President, that we as a team and a board make it easy for you to do what you do.
First of all, thank you so much. I know my team was taking notes. We want to make sure that we continually get better. It's continuous improvement is important. And thank you all, of course, for what you do for Virginia State University. I just thought of this. In Mr. Fleming's idea, I just wanted to highlight the fact that the SGA president has been here the entire time. The SGA president, Ms. Campbell. That's actually, I hate to say it, it's not typical. And so it's been wonderful, wonderful having you. I just wanted to make sure that I said that to you. It's great to have you.
Are there any remaining comments, questions for the full board?
There's one. I move to adjourn.
Do I hear a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. All right, thank y'all. Safe travels going home.